I opened an envelope that had someone else's name on it. I knew it was wrong the second I slid my finger under the seal, but I did it anyway. And now I'm standing in our bedroom at 2 in the morning with a letter in my hands that's destroying everything I thought I knew about my marriage. The envelope said for Rachel. Not me, Rachel, his ex-girlfriend, the one he dated for 6 years before we met. The one whose name he hasn't mentioned in the 8 years we've been together. The one I thought was just a footnote in his history. I'm Jennifer. I've been married to Marcus for 8 years. We have a good life. A house with a garden that he maintains better than I do. 2 cats named Pepper and Salt because Marcus thought he was hilarious when he named them. Friday movie nights where we argue about whether to watch his action movies or my documentaries. He always lets me win. He makes terrible pancakes every Sunday and insists they're getting better even though they're not. He laughs at his own jokes. He folds the laundry wrong on purpose because he knows I'll redo it, which means he doesn't have to do it at all. We're happy. Or at least I thought we were. The letter was in a shoebox. The shoebox was on the top shelf of his closet, behind his winter coats that smell like cedar and moths. I wasn't snooping. Not really. I was looking for our passports because we're supposed to fly to Costa Rica in 3 weeks for our anniversary. And I couldn't remember where we'd put them after our last trip. Marcus is at a conference in Denver until tomorrow night, so I had the house to myself. I figured I'd find the passports, pack some things early, surprise him with my efficiency. Instead, I found this. The shoebox is old, worn at the corners. The lid doesn't fit quite right. Inside, there were 3 things. The letter, still sealed in its envelope, a photo of Marcus and Rachel together, both of them younger, standing in front of a lighthouse I don't recognize, and a ring, not a wedding ring, a simple silver band with a tiny diamond chip, the kind of ring a 23-year-old buys when he's in love but broke. The envelope was addressed in Marcus's handwriting, his terrible, Dr. Scrawl handwriting that I've spent 8 years trying to decipher on grocery lists and birthday cards, for Rachel written across the front. No last name, no address, just those 2 words. And in the corner, a date, April 14, 2015, 10 years ago, 3 months before Marcus and I met. I should have put it back, closed the box, shoved it back behind the coats where it's been living for a decade, clearly untouched, clearly something he'd kept for reasons that were his own. But my hands were already moving, already breaking the seal, already unfolding the paper inside. And now I can't unknow what I know. The bedroom is dark except for the lamp on my nightside table. It's 2:17 a.m., according to the clock that Marcus bought because he said the old one was too loud. This one doesn't tick, just glows red numbers into the darkness, silent, like it's holding its breath, like it knows something terrible is happening. I'm sitting on the edge of our bed, the bed we picked out together 4 years ago after our old mattress started sagging in the middle. We spent 3 hours in that furniture store, testing mattresses like idiots, lying side by side on display models while the salesperson watched. Marcus kept making jokes about Goldilocks. Too soft, too hard, just right. We left with a mattress that cost more than my first car, and we've slept on it every night since. But tonight I'm sitting here realizing I don't know the man I share this bed with. The letter is 4 pages, front and back of 2 sheets of paper, lined notebook paper like he wrote it in college or right after. The handwriting is neater than his current scrawl, like he took his time, like every word mattered. I've read it 3 times now. Each time, it gets worse. Let me tell you how I got here. How I became the kind of person who violates someone's privacy, who reads letters that aren't meant for them, who sits in the dark at 2 in the morning questioning everything. Marcus and I met at a coffee shop, July 2015. I was working on my laptop, trying to finish a presentation for work, and he sat down at the table next to mine with a book and a coffee that smelled like caramel. We didn't speak at first, but then his phone rang, and he answered it, and I heard him say, "Mom, I'm fine. I promise. I'm just having coffee. I'm okay." Something about the way he said, "I'm okay," made me look up, made me notice that he didn't look okay. He looked exhausted, hollow-eyed, like he hadn't slept in days. When he hung up, I asked him if he needed a stronger coffee. He laughed. It was a sad laugh, but it was a laugh. He said, "I don't think coffee can fix what's wrong with me. I should have minded my own business." Instead, I asked him what was wrong. He told me he'd just ended a relationship, a long one, 6 years. He said it was the right thing to do, but it didn't feel right. It felt like he'd amputated part of himself. He said her name was Rachel, that they'd met in college, that he thought they'd get married. But things changed. People changed. Sometimes love isn't enough. I told him I was sorry. I bought him a cookie. We talked for 3 hours. He asked for my number. I gave it to him. 2 weeks later, we went on our first date. 3 months later, he told me he was falling in love with me. A year later, we moved in together. 2 years later, he proposed with a ring that actually fit this time, a ring he'd saved for months to buy, and I said yes, without hesitation. I thought I knew his story. I thought Rachel was just his past. A chapter that closed before I opened. I never asked too many questions because it felt like prying, and because he seemed happy with me, and because I trusted him. I trusted him. The photo in the shoebox shows them together. Marcus looks younger, less tired, his hair is longer. He's smiling that full smile he does when he's genuinely happy, not the half smile he gives when he's being polite. Rachel is pretty. Dark hair, bright eyes, leaning into him like he's the center of her world. They're standing in front of a lighthouse. Behind them, the ocean. The sky is blue. They look like people who have a future. The ring is small, simple. The kind of ring you buy when you're 23 and broke, but in love enough to try anyway. I pick it up, turn it over. Inside the band, there's an engraving. Tiny letters that I have to squint to read. R+M always. Always. That word is sitting in my chest like a stone. I put the ring down, pick up the letter, read it again. 4th time now. Maybe if I read it enough times, it'll say something different. Maybe the words will rearrange themselves into something that doesn't make me feel like my entire marriage is built on a lie. But they don't. The letter starts, simple, sweet. Even Rachel, I don't know if you'll ever read this. I don't even know if I'll ever give it to you, but I need to write it down. I need to get these words out of my head and onto paper, even if they never go any further than this shoebox in my closet. I stop, put the letter down. My hands are shaking, because he kept it in a shoebox, in his closet, in our closet, in the house we bought together, on the shelf above the clothes I put there, and I never knew. How many times has he opened this box? How many times has he taken out this letter, this ring, this photo, and remembered? I picked the letter back up. It's been 3 months since I ended things. 3 months since I told you I couldn't do this anymore. That we wanted different things, that it was better to end it now before we resented each other. I said all the right words, all the mature, adult, logical words that made sense in my head but tasted like poison coming out of my mouth. You cried. You asked me if there was someone else. I said no. You asked me if I still loved you. I didn't answer because we both knew the answer would have made everything worse. Of course I still love you. I've loved you since sophomore year when you fell asleep in the library on my shoulder and I didn't move for 2 hours because I didn't want to wake you. I loved you when we drove to the coast and stood in front of that lighthouse and you said you wanted to live somewhere you could see the ocean every day. I loved you when you got food poisoning from bad sushi and I held your hair back and you said you'd never been more embarrassed or more grateful at the same time. I loved you through every fight, every makeup, every plan we made, every dream we shared. I still love you. That's not why I left. I left because I'm dying, Rachel, and I couldn't watch you die with me. My vision blurs. I have to stop. Put the letter down. Stand up. Walk to the window. Our bedroom looks out over the backyard where Marcus planted tomatoes last spring that never grew. He kept watering them anyway, kept checking them every morning, kept believing they'd eventually produce something. They didn't, but he tried, dying. He said he was dying, but Marcus isn't dead. Marcus is in Denver at a conference about renewable energy infrastructure. Marcus called me 4 hours ago to say goodnight and tell me about the panel he sat on. Marcus is alive. Very, very alive. We're going to Costa Rica in 3 weeks. We're going to argue about snorkeling because I want to and he thinks fish are boring. We're going to grow old together, unless this letter is about something else. Unless he wasn't dying. Unless this was just what he told himself to make the breakup easier. I sit back down, keep reading. The diagnosis came 2 months before I ended things with you. Stage 4, lymphoma. Aggressive. The kind that moves fast, that doesn't respond well to treatment, that gives you months instead of years if you're lucky. I did the chemo, I did the radiation, I did everything they told me to do, and it didn't work. Or it worked for a while, and then it didn't. By the time I ended things with us, I had about 8 months, maybe a year, if I was very, very lucky. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't I tell you? Why didn't I give you the choice to stay, to fight it with me, to be there? Because I know you, Rachel. I know you better than I know myself. You would have stayed. You would have put your life on hold. You would have dropped out of grad school. You would have moved back from Boston. You would have spent every single day taking care of me, watching me deteriorate, watching me disappear piece by piece until there was nothing left but grief and regret and a future that died with me. And I couldn't do that to you. You have dreams, Rachel. You got into Harvard for your PhD. You have a fellowship that people would kill for. You have a whole life ahead of you, and it's going to be extraordinary. I couldn't let you throw it away to watch me die, so I lied. I told you we wanted different things. I told you it was over. I made you hate me a little bit so that leaving would hurt less. So that you'd move to Boston and start your program and eventually meet someone who could give you all the years I couldn't. I broke your heart to save your life. And I'd do it again. The ring I gave you, the one you gave back when we ended things, is in this box. I couldn't throw it away. It felt like throwing away every good thing we ever had. The photo is from that day at the lighthouse. Do you remember? You said you wanted to live where you could see the ocean. I wanted to give you that. I wanted to give you everything. I'm writing this because I need you to know the truth, even if you never read it. I need to know that somewhere these words exist, that the real reason is on paper, not just in my head where it'll die with me. I loved you enough to let you go. I loved you enough to lie. I loved you enough to become the villain in your story so that you could be the hero in your own. I hope you're happy, Rachel. I hope you meet someone who deserves you. I hope you get your PhD and your ocean view and every single thing you ever dreamed of. I hope when you think of me, you remember the good parts, the library, the lighthouse, the bad sushi, the love we had when we had it. I hope you forgive me someday, for leaving, for lying, for loving you so much that I couldn't let you watch me die. I'm sorry. For everything and for nothing. For the time we had and the time we didn't get. For being your first love and your worst heartbreak. For doing the right thing in the worst possible way. If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. It means the cancer won. It means you found this somehow, or someone gave it to you, and you finally know the truth. I hope it helps. I hope it hurts less knowing I didn't stop loving you. I just stopped being able to stay. Thank you for 6 years. Thank you for being the person I measured every good thing against. Thank you for loving me when I was worth loving. I'm sorry I couldn't be here to love you back. Marcus, the letter falls from my hands for the second time tonight. I'm crying, sobbing, sitting on the edge of our bed in the dark, and I'm sobbing for a man I married who almost died before I met him. For a woman named Rachel who never knew the truth. For a love story that ended in a lie that was actually a sacrifice. Marcus didn't just end a relationship. He saved her life by breaking her heart. And then he survived. I don't know how long I sit there. An hour. Maybe 2. The clock says 4:33 a.m. when I finally move. My face is swollen. My eyes burn. My chest feels like someone's sitting on it. Marcus survived. Obviously, he survived. Because I met him 3 months after he wrote this letter. 3 months after he gave himself 8 months to live. He was still in treatment. Still fighting. Still dying. Except he didn't die. He met me instead. And he never told me. Not once in 8 years did he mention that he'd had cancer, that he'd been terminal, that he'd sacrificed the love of his life to spare her the pain of watching him die. Not once did he say, by the way, I used to be dying, but I got better. How do you keep that secret? How do you build a life with someone, marry them, plan trips to Costa Rica, plant tomatoes that don't grow, and never mention that you were supposed to be dead? My phone is on the nightstand. I could call him, right now, demand answers. But it's 4:30 in the morning, and he's in Denver, and what would I even say? Hi honey, I violated your privacy, read a letter meant for your ex-girlfriend, and now I'm having an existential crisis about our entire marriage. How was your panel? I can't do that. Not over the phone, not like this. Instead, I put the letter back in the envelope, put the envelope, the ring, the photo, back in the shoebox, put the shoebox back on the shelf behind the winter coats, exactly where I found it, like I was never there, like I don't know, but I do know, and I can't unknow it. I spend the rest of the night on the couch. I don't sleep. I just lie there, staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the small things that suddenly make sense. The way Marcus never talks about the past before we met. The way he goes to doctor's appointments alone and tells me they're just routine checkups. The way he holds me sometimes, especially late at night, like he's afraid I'll disappear. The way he says I love you, like he means it more than any person I've ever known. Like he's grateful for every single day, because he is. Because he wasn't supposed to have these days. He was supposed to be dead by Christmas 2015. Instead, he met me, fell in love with me, married me, built a life with me, but he built it on a foundation of secrets. When the sun comes up, I make coffee, I shower, I put on normal clothes and pretend to be a normal person doing normal things. I text Marcus good morning like I always do. He texts back immediately, good morning, beautiful, miss you, home tomorrow night, love you. I stare at those words. Love you. Does he love me the way he loved Rachel? Or is this a different kind of love? The kind you have when you've already lost everything once and you're just grateful for a second chance. I don't respond. I don't know what to say. The next 36 hours are the longest of my life. I clean the house. I pack for Costa Rica. I find our passports, ironically, in the drawer where we always keep them. I was looking in the wrong place. I weed the garden where Marcus's tomatoes failed. I feed the cats. I do everything normally except nothing is normal because I'm carrying this secret that isn't mine, that I stole from a shoebox on a shelf. Marcus comes home at 7 p.m. the next night. I hear his car in the driveway, the door opening, his footsteps. Jen, I'm home. I'm in the kitchen, pretending to make dinner. Actually just standing at the counter, staring at vegetables I haven't chopped, trying to figure out how to do this. He walks in, drops his bag, smiles that smile that I've loved for 8 years, comes over to kiss me. He smells like airports and tired. His hair's messy. He looks happy to see me. I missed you, he says. I missed you too, I say, and I mean it. Even now, even with everything I know, I missed him. He notices I'm not actually cooking. You okay? I need to ask you something. His smile falters, just slightly, just enough that I notice. Okay, who's Rachel? The color drains from his face. Completely. He goes pale. His hand, which was reaching for a glass of water, stops midair. He's frozen. Absolutely frozen. And in that moment, I know everything in the letter was true. How do you? He starts. I found a shoebox. I was looking for our passports. I found a shoebox in your closet. He closes his eyes. You read the letter. I read the letter. He sits down at the kitchen table, puts his head in his hands, doesn't speak for a long time. When he finally looks up, his eyes are red. I was going to tell you, he says. His voice is barely a whisper. When I don't know. Before we got married, after some perfect moment that never came, I kept waiting for the right time, and the right time kept not happening, and then years passed, and it felt like it was too late, like bringing it up would just hurt you for no reason. You had cancer, I say, not a question, a statement. Yes, you were dying, yes, and you broke up with Rachel to protect her, yes, and then you survived. He nods. Against all odds, somehow, the treatment worked. I went into remission about 4 months after I wrote that letter, right around the time I met you. I thought it was temporary. I thought it would come back. But it didn't. I've been cancer-free for almost 10 years. And you never told me. I didn't know how. At first I thought we were just having coffee, just talking. Then we started dating, and I thought you deserved to know, but I also thought it would scare you away. Who wants to date someone who just beat cancer? Someone who might relapse at any moment. I wanted you to love me for who I was, not feel sorry for me for what I'd survived, so I didn't tell you. And then I fell in love with you, and you fell in love with me, and it felt like maybe I'd been given a second chance. Maybe I could have a normal life. Maybe I didn't have to be defined by the worst thing that ever happened to me. But you kept the letter, you kept the ring, you kept the photo. I kept them because I needed to remember. I needed to remember what I almost lost, what Rachel lost because of me. I needed to remember that I made the right choice, even if it was the hardest choice. I open that box maybe once a year. On the anniversary of my diagnosis, I read the letter. I look at the photo. I remember who I was when I thought I was dying. And then I put it away and go back to living. He's crying now, fully crying. And I realize I've never seen Marcus cry. Not once in 8 years. Not at his father's funeral. Not at our wedding. Not ever. I'm sorry, he says. I should have told you. You deserved to know. But I was scared that if you knew about Rachel, about what I did, about who I was before you, you'd think you were second place. You'd think you were the backup plan. And Jen, you're not. You're not second anything. You're the person I chose to live for. When I went into remission, when I realized I might actually survive, you were the reason I fought. You made me want to have a future again. I'm crying too now, because I understand. God help me, I understand. He didn't tell me because he wanted to protect me, just like he didn't tell Rachel because he wanted to protect her. He spent his entire adult life loving people so much that he lies to them for their own good. Did you ever tell her? I ask. Rachel, did you ever tell her the truth? He shakes his head. No. She moved to Boston, got her PhD. Last I heard, she's married to a professor at MIT. She has kids. She has the life I wanted her to have. I couldn't show up 10 years later and say, hey, by the way, I lied. I was dying, but then I didn't die, and I met someone else, and I'm happy now. Hope you're not mad. What good would that do? It would just reopen old wounds for no reason. So, she still thinks you broke her heart for nothing. She thinks I broke her heart because we wanted different things, which is kinder than the truth. I sit down across from him. We're both crying, both exhausted, both sitting with the weight of a secret that's been living in our house for 8 years. I love you, I say, but you have to stop protecting people by lying to them. You have to stop deciding what's best for everyone else. You should have told me. Rachel should have had the choice to stay or go. You don't get to make those decisions alone. I know, he says. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Do you still love her? He looks at me, really looks at me. I'll always care about her. She was my first love. But Jen, I love you. Present tense, active, every single day. You're not my second chance. You're my actual life. The one I chose when I realized I got to choose. The one I wake up grateful for. Rachel is my past. You're my present and my future. I promise you that. I believe him. I do. But there's still a part of me that wonders if he would have chosen me if Rachel had known the truth, if she'd stayed, if she'd fought with him. Would there be a me at all? I need time, I tell him. I need time to process this. All of this. The cancer, the letter, the secrets. I need time. Take all the time you need, he says. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. I'm alive. And I'm yours. For as long as you'll have me. We don't go to Costa Rica. I cancel the trip 2 days later. Marcus doesn't argue. He gives me space. He sleeps in the guest room. He's patient. He's kind. He's present in a way he hasn't been in a while. And I realize that maybe part of him has always been holding back. Always been waiting for the other shoe to drop. Always been living like someone on borrowed time. 3 weeks later, I ask him to tell me everything. Every detail. The diagnosis. The treatment. The decision to leave Rachel. The remission. The fear. The guilt. All of it. And he does. We sit at the kitchen table for 6 hours. And he tells me his entire story. The parts I knew and the parts I didn't. When he's done, I ask him one more question. Do you still open that shoebox? Not anymore, he says. I don't need to. I already remember. What if I said you should give Rachel the letter? He looks shocked. What? What if she deserves to know? What if she's spent 10 years thinking she wasn't enough, when the truth is she was everything? What if the kindest thing you can do now is tell her the truth, even if it's 10 years late? He thinks about it. Really thinks about it. Would it change anything? It would change her understanding of her own story. That matters. 6 months after I read the letter that wasn't meant for me, Marcus mails it. The actual letter, the one from the shoebox. He writes a note on a separate page, explaining that he survived, that he's sorry, that she deserved to know the truth. He sends it to her university address. He doesn't expect a response. She responds 2 weeks later. An email. Short, simple. Thank you for telling me. I'm glad you survived. I'm glad you're happy. For what it's worth, I would have stayed. But I understand why you didn't let me take care of yourself, Marcus. And take care of her, whoever she is. She's lucky. He shows me the email. We cry together. And then we close that chapter. For real this time. Marcus and I are still married. Still happy. Still building a life together. But now it's built on truth instead of secrets. He tells me things now. Small things and big things. He talks about his checkups. About his fear of relapse. About his guilt over Rachel. About his gratitude for every normal day we have together. And I tell him things too. About the guilt I carry for reading a letter that wasn't mine. About how sometimes I wonder if I'm enough. about how I'm learning to trust that when he says he loves me, he means it completely. If you're listening to this, if you've ever found something you weren't supposed to find, read something you weren't supposed to read, I want you to know, sometimes the worst way to learn the truth is the only way. Sometimes violating someone's privacy saves you both. Sometimes breaking the rules breaks you open in exactly the way you need. But here's what I learned. Secrets are heavy. They take up space in closets and in hearts. They live in shoeboxes and in silences. And eventually, they demand to be known. Don't keep secrets from the people you love. Don't protect them by lying. Don't decide what they can handle. Give them the truth. Give them the choice. Give them the chance to love you through the hard things, not just the easy ones. Marcus loved Rachel enough to lie to her, and then he loved me enough to keep lying. But the truest love is the kind that risks honesty, the kind that says, here's all of me, even the scary parts, even the parts that might make you leave, stay anyway. That's the love we have now. Not perfect, but true. The shoebox is gone now. Marcus threw it away. The letter is with Rachel. The ring we donated. The photo we keep in a drawer, not hidden but not displayed. A reminder of what was, and what could have been, and what actually is. We're going to Costa Rica next month, rescheduled. Marcus already promised we'll go snorkeling, even though he thinks fish are boring. I already promised I'll watch his action movies, even though I think they're ridiculous. We're going to live, really live. Not like people on borrowed time, but like people who know exactly how precious time is. And if I've learned anything, it's this. Read the letter, even if it's not for you, even if it changes everything. Because sometimes the truth you're not supposed to know is exactly the truth you need. Sometimes the letter wasn't for you, but you read it anyway, and it saves you both.